So, I am literally just about to fall asleep. Super tired. Really need to stop staying up this late. It's just the vlog, as you can see with me still being here. See, I promised that I wouldn't make any more videos tonight. Technically, it's this morning. So, I was just thinking, and I don't even know how I got on this topic, but I was thinking about how much I wanted to go and visit Sylvia Plath's grave. Sylvia Plath is one of my favorite authors. Like, above everyone, she intrigues me the most. So much so that, I don't know, I spent the summer reading and rereading The Bell Jar, and I don't think I've ever read a book that evoked so much in me. Because despite her tragic life and how fucked up she really was, there was something so beautifully tragic about her life, and the way that she writes, it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna try to find one of my favorite quotes by her. But she just, I can't even describe how she makes me feel when I read her work. Not only her quotes, but also about her poems and her novel and even her letters. And a few months ago, there came out a bunch of these drawings were released from her journals, and she was actually a good artist too, which is amazing. Okay, I found the quote. There is something demoralizing about watching two people get more and more crazy about each other, especially when you are the only extra person in the room. It's like watching Paris from an express caboose headed in the opposite direction. Every second, the city gets smaller and smaller, only you feel it's really you getting smaller and smaller and lonelier, rushing away from all those lights and excitement at about 1,000,000 miles per hour. Everything she writes is such this vivid thing. And I think the reason I like her so much is even growing up, I was going to be a journalism major because all throughout school I loved to write. I loved to write, and I wrote for the newspaper, and I was editor-in-chief of the yearbook for years. And so I was going to be a journalism major, and some of her work that absolutely inspired me. But even since 4th grade, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about how all of my favorite writers, well, most of them, have lived really sad and tragic lives and have eventually killed themselves. So even when I was young, I would think about it all the time. I would think about why they killed themselves. And I came to the conclusion about sophomore year, right before everything happened with my surgery. And it was that they feel so much more than everyone else. Everything they do has this meaning and this emotion so strongly attached to it. And I feel like their empathy is much more than normal people too. And everything that they do is so affected, and they just hold it on. They hold on to it for so long that it just gets them. It gets to the point where they can't live in themselves anymore. I don't know. Sylvia, there's something just so beautifully tragic that appeals to me in her. And maybe it's the common stereotype of the fact that college girls always romanticize her in a mistakenly way. I mean, nothing about her story was romantic. Ted Hughes cheated on her, and she killed herself by turning on the gas in the kitchen and locking her children in their room so they wouldn't be affected by it. she was so sad that she did that. Anyways, I was just thinking about how much she has completely and entirely inspired me. Like, a lot of things that she'll say, and she's so vivid, and everything she says is completely illustrated, and it makes me just inspired. Like, okay, this is her quote about death. Death must be so beautiful, to lie in the soft brown earth, with the grasses waving above one's head, and to listen to silence, to have no yesterday and no tomorrow, to forget time, to forget life, to be at peace. Now, I would never kill myself. I had a few times where I seriously thought about it, but I wouldn't. There's too many people that it would affect, like my family, and I would never put them through that. But the way she talks about death doesn't make me fear death. Or the way she talks about anything else. Like, even, I feel like the writer's intense pain that they go through just make them better writers. Or maybe it's reverse, but I mean, like, all of her quotes. The silence depressed me. It wasn't the silence of silence. It was my own silence. If the moon smiled, she would resemble you. You leave the same impression of something beautiful, yet annihilating. It's probably one of my favorites. Anyways, I was just thinking about her, and now I'm going to try to sleep because, as you can tell, I really should be sleeping right now. Good night. I hope you are in better shape than Sylvia Plath.